Look, I'm gonna tell y'all. I knew that, obviously I knew that the show was gonna come to an end way before they announced it. We had a talk about it. The studio and I, N50 and I.
We saw that we were telling a complete story and that this was the perfect opportunity to stay true to our artistic vision and make this the final chapter in Tommy's journey in Chicago. But don't worry, Tommy's journey is far from over with. We're just getting warmed up and I can't wait to show you what we have planned next. Tune in, because ghosts never die and power never ends.
Welcome back, Top Notch Gang, to another video, and in this one we're talking about the Power universe as a whole. There's been a lot of talk surrounding the fact that this is the last season of Power Book 2 Ghost, and then Joseph Sikora, the actor that plays Tommy, came out and said season 3 will be the last for Power Book 4 Force. And with both of these things happening, that will leave Raising Kanan as the only standing active show until, of course, Power Origins is released sometime probably 2025 or 2026. Who knows at this point? But Tommy left us a hint. He said Power never ends, and this isn't the end of Tommy's story, just his story in Chicago. And with that, a lot of people have been possibly talking about a spin-off between Tommy and Tariq finally joining back in one show. So we're gonna break down all the clues and details with that, the new location and setting of where this story will of course take place, obviously what characters from both shows are more than likely to still be around, and how just both of these shows come to a conclusion that gets us to this point. And then I'm gonna give you guys my theory of what I thought the route Book 2 Ghost was gonna take in the later half of the video, because I thought my idea was pretty interesting and it made the most sense. So without further ado, leave a like, comment on this video if you enjoy it, subscribe, and let me know any other videos you want to see on the Power universe. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, for starters, we had an interview with Michael Rainey. Of course, he came out and admitted that he knew this was the last and final season for Book Ghost, and he said he had multiple meetings with the exec over at Starz as well as 50, and from the signs, it doesn't look like this is the end for his character. And the same seems to be the case with Joseph Sikora and Tommy. As he stated, this is his ending chapter in Chicago. So that brings us to a new location. Where would this story take place? Now, obviously, the first thought goes to New York, but I don't think that's really an option. As we know, Tommy is already dead in New York.
Plus, in New York, I'm already dead.
We know after the whole situation with killing Ghost and Tasha ratting him out and him trying to come back to kill her, him and Tariq devised a plan to go out in a blaze of flames. Everyone thinks he's dead so he could leave, go do whatever the fuck he wants. So the idea of the story being in New York doesn't really make sense. So that means it might be new chapters for both our characters going forward. My next thoughts and ideas, of course, brings us to LA, where Tommy initially was headed after leaving New York before he stopped in Chicago and decided, fuck that, I'ma stay here. But it did sound like he burned his bridges or whatever he had going on in that location.
I'm starting to think maybe I was wrong about you. That you're not fucking reliable.
Go fuck yourself. I ain't coming. I think I'm gonna stay here. Build my own shit. I'm my own boss now.
And so they'll definitely be starting over, but that's another major city with drugs, with crime and everything like that they could get involved into. Stepping aside from location, it all greatly depends on how each of these stories end by the end of the season. Like currently in Book Ghost, everyone's expecting Kate Egan to play a part in season 4 episode 3 due to the fact that Tariq finally told Monet she the one who told him that Monet sent Tommy after Tasha. So with that coming out, everyone expects Kate Egan or Tommy to make an appearance somewhat or sometime this season, which has yet to be seen. But basically, we have to wait and see how these seasons end off to see what's next for our characters. That brings me to what characters more than likely, if they were to combine the shows or do a new spin-off with Tommy and Tariq, what characters would they bring from each? Now, obviously from Book Ghost, if Tasha survives, she's gonna be there. She has a connection to Tariq and Tommy, so that's off dump. I expect Brayden, Kane, and Diana to survive by the end of the season. We'll get into that more later when we talk about how Book 2 Ghost ends, but I expect them more than likely to go and follow Tariq wherever. Diana based on her pregnancy, Kane based on him versus Drew, whoever survives that situation, and Brayden, that's his Tommy, that's his right hand man. I expect them to stick it out through whatever. Now on the Book 4 side of things, we know there's a whole civil war going on over there too, with Jannard and Diamond going behind Tommy's back, giving up D-Mac to King Kilo. We gotta see how that story finishes, who dies in that situation, because I believe Tommy and Diamond will be going at one another in season 3. So realistically, only people I honestly think could possibly make it out is Tommy, D-Mac if he gets saved, and maybe JP and Kate. That's kind of crazy. That's just Tommy's family. I know that's wild, but I don't see how, with the way the story is going and progressing, anyone else is on good terms with Tommy by the end of the season. But once again, we didn't get a episode of that yet. We didn't get a preview. This is all my thoughts just coming forward at once. You guys can let me know down below what characters you believe get taken from both shows if they were to go to a new location. We got to get into how both of these shows would end that lead up to this point, and unfortunately, once again, we don't have no previews, no trailers, no sneak peeks of anything Power Book 4 season 3 related just yet, so it's hard to gather or wage where that story is gonna go. But on the Book Ghost side of things, we see Tariq back at Club Truth. We know about Diana's pregnancy. He's gonna have to struggle and make a decision, fully being in the game and fully being out. At the current point, he's going all in. We have to see how all of that changes going forward, but going into the season knowing it's the last and final season, I was hoping they leave it on a cliffhanger or something that could be continued, whether he's fully in or fully out, and that's what I'm expecting going forward, especially with it being full circle with him going back to Truth, standing in the exact same spot he killed Ghost. I think this is going to be a pivotal scene and moment. That's why it's so highlighted in the trailer. So when this season ends, this is going to give us a lot, whether we really are going to get a new spinoff between these two or if the show is just officially over. Now, this brings me to my theory of what I thought they were gonna do with Book Ghost going forward. And once again, this is my theory. None of this is confirmed. This is just what I thought up and thought was possible. So just hear me out. I believe in the industry of TV, they got this little stupid shit to where once you go past 3 seasons, I believe you have to renegotiate the contracts with the cast and everyone like that, which is why we got season 4 of Book Ghost so late. Everyone was looking and waiting for an announcement. Same with season 3, I believe that they were negotiating with the cast, and I think that's also the fact of why we see Book 4's ending after only 3 seasons. Now, with us knowing this and having this in mind, I thought that the plan with Book Ghost, since the fact that Michael Rainey Jr., Latoya, Gianni Polo, all these actors, since they're so young, they're in their young 20s, mid 20s at the most, what they were gonna do at the end of this season, characters like Tariq, Diana, Brayden, and Kane, like I said, would have survived. Diana and Tariq possibly had their baby, and then 10 to 15 years later, they were gonna do a reboot or continue the series. I already know, I know what you guys are saying. No one is trying to wait 10 to 15 years for a new series. We want more power now, and I understand. This is just what I thought they had planned. Since all these actors and characters are so young, especially in the story, they're in college. So the way I imagined it is if they fast forward 10 to 15 years, in real life, obviously, so these actors grew, got older and everything like that, it'd basically be like starting from the original Power, where we got Tariq as Ghost, Diana as Tasha, and they have a kid, and we see how they raise them in that life, if they're still in that situation and everything like this. But basically, this was all depending on how I saw the story ending, the end of season 4, what takes place then. So I was gonna wait to talk about this theory based off what happened, but now with the fact fact that everyone's talking about this new Tommy and Tariq spinoff, I had to give my thoughts on it. And also in my mind, this makes sense because of the era of TV we're in. How every other show and series are doing nowadays, where we're getting reboots, sequels of all these old legendary shows, basically picking up where they left off. And once again, with these actors and characters story-wise being as young as they are, it's always a possibility for them to do it with Power as well. We know what their catchphrase is: power never ends. So even if they wasn't talking about this possible spinoff with Tariq and Tommy, this is what I thought the next step was gonna be. These actors continue their career on other shows, and then they just pick this shit back up down the line based off how this season ends, what characters are left to work with. Now once again, I know everyone's watching this video like, we not about to wait 10 to 15 years. That shit sounds crazy, and I think the exact same. This is just what I thought they were gonna do. But if we could choose between that or just continuing a spinoff with Tariq and Tommy, then obviously give me the fucking spinoff. I mean, I make money doing this. Obviously I would want to make a show right now, not have to wait 10 to 15 years. And I think the Tariq and Tommy one is just more likely because of the fact I mentioned earlier, Raising Kanan will be the only running Starz show from the Power universe into Origins, that is. That just doesn't seem likely. That just doesn't seem right. So you guys can give me your thoughts and opinions on this down below. Which of these would you prefer? Which do you see is more likely? Or if you have your own ideas and theories, you could put that down below as well. Especially with 50 Cent having his new studio and everything made, I think he's gonna take the shit from Starz and just do it himself. Overall though, that's it for this video. I don't know. Once again, a new spinoff with Tariq and Tommy makes more sense. Of course, they're gonna have to do a new location other than Chicago or New York to make it actually work. And I said LA is the most likely one. Another big city full of crime culture, obviously. And it was already previously mentioned and teased in Power a lot of times before. You can tell me what you think of my theory down below. No one really wants that to happen, but I do think that idea in my head made sense of that's what they were gonna do. Or if we don't get any other shows in the future, they can always bring it back depending on how season 4 Book Ghost ends, obviously. Hopefully we get more trailers, previews, and details on Book 4 season 3, then we could talk about this topic again, of course. But if they're just gonna leave us with Raising Kanan, and I'm not gonna even mention BMF until Book Origins, it's gonna feel like a lot of the year is just missing Power. And what they say, Power never ends, so we're expecting some news to come forth. As usual, you guys can leave a like, comment, subscribe though, and I'm out.